Hey, what's up? So, I'm gonna read you another article here about Nashville. I've been having my phone like stop mid video a couple times, so I'm kind of trying to rush. I'm kind of getting irritated by it, you know. So, here's one from the New York Post, right? And they write, the Tennessee tech expert named as the culprit in the RV bombing that shook Nashville on Christmas morning told a female friend that he planned to spend the holidays in the woods with his dogs on Sunday. On a report Sunday. Anthony Quinn Warner, 63, laid out his plans in a cryptic November letter to Michelle Swing, to whom Warner recently signed over ownership of 2 homes without any documented exchange of money, according to the U.S. Sun. Warner wrote in the letter that he intended to travel on Christmas Eve to spend a few weeks in the woods with his dogs, the report said. The tech expert is believed by authorities to have previously had a relationship with Swing's mother, according to the report. Warner reportedly went on to write to Swing, 29, that he was signing over a home to her, but gave her a vague warning to something out of the ordinary about the basement. The attic has plywood and lighting. Take a look, the letter concluded, according to the outlet. The basement is not normal. Take a look. Woof woof. Julio. The identity of Julio is unclear. Swing, who lives in California, has previously declined to comment to the Post. Authorities on Sunday formally identified Warner as the bomber after matching human remains found at the scene to his DNA. Investigators declined to discuss Warner's motive during the Sunday briefing, but it has previously been reported that they suspected Warner may have been consumed with paranoia over 5G cellular technology and its alleged use in spying on Americans. The suicide blast injured 3 other people and rattled an AT&T building, crippling cell service across Tennessee and the South, which is sad. Because they did the 9/11 stuff, the first responders and stuff, they couldn't get in, a couple states, they say 41 buildings were affected and stuff like that. Kind of shocking. Prior to its detonation, the RV played an audio recording warning locals to evacuate the area, as well as the classic Petula Clark pop song, Downtown, which is kind of ironic because he drove the thing downtown. Yeah. And so illness is real, folks. And that concludes that article. Alright. And the FBI agents investigating if 5G paranoia was behind the Nashville bombing. This is News 4 Nashville. Nashville, Tennessee. News 4 investigates has confirmed FBI agents spent Saturday speaking with a top Nashville real estate agent who has contacted them after fearing the subcontractor who worked for him may be the same man whose home they were searching. Other federal agents spent much of the day searching the Antioch home of Anthony Warner. Realtor Steve Friedrich contacted the FBI after reading Warner's name as for several years. A man by the name of Tony Warner had worked for him for several years doing information technology work. Friedrich confirms that agents asked him whether or not Warner had paranoia about 5G technology. Friedrich told the agents that Warner had never spoken to him about that, so he wouldn't know. But a source close to the federal investigation that said that among several different tips and angles, agents are investigating whether or not Warner had paranoia that 5G technology was being used to spy on Americans. A spokeswoman for the FBI said they could not comment because of the pending investigation. Frederick described the Tony Warner who worked for him as a kind person who they contacted only to work on internet issues. Nice guy, he was a techie guy. Don't mean anything negative about that. He would do this thing and leave. He didn't bother anybody. He did his thing and leave, Frederick said. As the As for the RV that exploded when the bomb went off on December 25th, Frederick said that Warner only ever spoke of his fondness for camping in December. And that seems to also conclude that article. Now we'll read the Tennessean real quick. Anthony Quinn Warner named as Nashville bomber, never talk politics or religion, neighbors say. Always gotta look out for the quiet ones, that's what they say, remember? Nashville man Anthony Quinn Warner is the person of interest investigators have linked with the Christmas Day explosion in downtown Nashville, police John Drake confirmed Sunday. Warner, 63, is a longtime Nashvilleian who held several IT jobs throughout his life. Federal authorities are scouring the city for evidence on Warner. Public records show that he had extensive experience with electronics and alarm systems. He recently worked as an independent computer technician with the real estate firm Frederick and Clark. Federal agents searched his Antioch home and Frederick and Clark real estate office in Nashville Saturday. Google Street View images of Warner's home show a white RV parked behind a wooden fence on the property. A similar RV was at the center of the Friday morning blast on 2nd Avenue in downtown Nashville. His neighbors reported seeing the RV at the home for years. Police said the explosion came from the RV soon after a speaker system broadcast an urgent warning to evacuate the area. Authorities have not identified whose human tissue was Friday at the blast site. Darrell DeBusk, a public affairs officer for the FBI, said Sunday afternoon he could not provide a time estimate on when the results would be available. It depends on the lab and the evidence, DeBusk told the Tennessean. This case is receiving priority. Police in the area moments before the blast said the speakers also played the wistful 1964 song Downtown by Petula Clark. The lyric about going to the city to seek refuge from sadness echoed down 2nd Avenue just before the blast. The lights are much brighter there. Warner never talked politics, kept to himself, and cared for his animals. Steve Schmaltz and his wife, who have lived next to Warner for more than 2 decades, when Schmaltz's wife moved into the house in 1995, Warner was already living next door. Schmaltz described his longtime neighbor as friendly, someone with whom he would make brief small talk before parting ways. He described Warner as kind of low-key, to the point of, I don't know, I guess some people would say he's a little odd. You never saw anyone come and go, Schmaltz told of Warner's home. Never saw him go anywhere. As far as we knew, he was kind of a computer geek that worked at home. Warner had placed lights and security cameras outside of his home. Warner would do a lot of work in his yard. A tall antenna is placed prominently on the side of the house. Schmaltz said Warner built the fence around his yard himself, the neighbor recalled. The neighbors never talked about politics or religion. Warner never gave any indication of any closely held ideology. I can tell you as far as politics, he never had any yard signs or flags in his windows or anything like that. If he did have any political beliefs, he kept to himself. That was something he kept to himself. Schmaltz said while the RV had been parked outside the home for years. A couple of weeks ago, Warner built a gate in the fence and drove the RV into his yard. To be honest, we really didn't pay any attention until it was gone. Until the FBI and the AFTF showed up. Excuse me. He and his wife watched the news Christmas morning as the information began to unfold about the 2nd Avenue bombing. They saw the photos police released of the RV in question that night. They noticed some cars driving up and down their street. It didn't begin to click that their neighbors may have been connected until Saturday, when they looked outside to see a large group of law enforcement outside Warner's home. Holy cow, there's a SWAT team out there, Schmaltz recalled his wife saying as she looked out the front door mid-morning Saturday. When Schmaltz learned that whoever was in the RV appeared to have tried to avoid casualties, his mind went into Warner's devotion to his animals, and for so many years, Warner had dogs over the years. First 2 small Shelties, and then a larger dog that he adopted. Though the pets have since died, Smoke said that they took really good care of his dogs, even building a wheelchair ramp for them when they got older so the animals didn't have to go use the stairs to get inside the house. As it was him, he didn't want anybody hurt. If it was him, he didn't want anybody hurt. But if that's the case, what other message is there? If indeed it was him, I just don't know. They have to figure out some kind of motive. Warner owned electronics and alarm company. State and business records show Anthony Warner registered the company's custom alarms and electronics, which specialized in producing burglar alarms. The company had an alarm license for November 93 through November 98, so he kind of knew how to do some wiring. They're kind of like letting you know he knew how to do some wiring. He knew, they're letting you know that this guy wasn't dumb. He didn't work alone. He knew how to do this kind of stuff alone to kind of ease your your worries and everything else. That's kind of what they're letting you know, that they're not looking for anybody else. That this guy was just like a Ted Kaczynski type. You know what I mean? And if you don't know who that is, that's kind of guy that, he was paranoid more about the Industrial Revolution killing